Heartwarming surprise, lonely millionaire, 47, discovers true love after hiring Waitress to transform his life. Charlie Hartman sat alone in the corner booth of Gracie's diner, swirling the ice in his untouched whiskey. His opulent mansion loomed empty just 10 minutes away, every hall echoing with memories of a life he had carved out, yet it felt as desolate as a ghost town. Money gave him everything except the one thing he longed for, companionship. Here in this small Midwestern town, he was a millionaire surrounded by loneliness, a contradiction in a life marked by achievement but hollow inside. As Sarah entered the diner with her frizzy hair and a smile that lit up the dim room, she was the heart of the place. "Hey, Charlie." "The usual?" Her voice was bright, a spark of life in an otherwise dreary evening. She approached with an air of determination that caught Charlie's attention. Sarah had dreams, big ones, and they were stitched into the apron that hugged her waist. She wanted to lift her family out of hardship in an uncertain world, not just survive to thrive. "Yeah, the usual," he mumbled, barely holding on to that smile that felt so foreign. But her laughter, rich and genuine, tickled at the corners of his guarded heart. That night, he made a decision that would spiral into transformative chaos. He hired her to help him reimagine the diner's menu. Days turned into nights filled with creativity and warmth. They rearranged the kitchen, experimenting with fresh ingredients. Sarah taught Charlie that food could tell stories, bursting with colors and flavors like his life never had. Bets were placed on the restaurant's future, and his aspirations of culinary excellence chipped away at his isolation. Their laughter echoed long after the last customer left. Something flickered inside him, a hope amidst corners that once felt so dark. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but paradise doesn't last long. The diner faced threats of foreclosure. Charlie's heart raced as the subject landed between them. Becoming the savior of the diner wasn't just a business decision, it struck a personal chord. He bought the diner, all but wiping out Sarah's autonomy, casting a shadow over their burgeoning bond. Her laughter turned into clenched lips, and the tables shifted, leaving cracks across their fragile connection. Could he be viewed as a charity case in her eyes? Frustration simmered within her. Expectations loomed, and whispers gathered momentum as they both grappled with their realities. As the town rallied to save Gracie's, so too did it whisper behind Charlie's back. The same community that once celebrated his wealth began to judge it. The rift widened as tensions escalated, the weight of their circumstances warping their friendship and dreams. In that crucial moment, standing face to face amidst the chaos, Charlie realized this choice would define not just his life but hers too. With hearts intertwined yet stretched taut over poverty and privilege, they faced an impending storm. Could love bridge the chasm of misunderstanding? Or would fear and societal judgment shatter the fragile world they had begun to build, a world filled with culinary bliss and shared dreams? The air pulsed with anticipation, the question hanging heavy in the space between them, ready to alter the course of their lives forever. Amidst the tense atmosphere of Gracie's diner, Charlie looked deep into Sarah's eyes, searching for answers that his heart couldn't quite articulate. With each second that stretched between them, silence felt like a heavy weight, thick with the unsaid and the unresolved. He wanted to reach out, to reassure her, but doubt snarled at him, a fierce beast ready to leap. "Sarah, I didn't mean to," he started, but the words got tangled in his throat. "No, Charlie," she interrupted quietly, her voice barely above a whisper but sharp enough to slice through the tension. "You didn't think this through. You swept in, bought the diner, and now I don't even know where that leaves me." He winced as her hurt spilled out. Everything he had intended as help felt like a chain now binding them instead of lifting them. What had begun as a partnership brimming with hope transitioned into a battleground where ego and vulnerability clashed. "You think I bought this to overshadow you? I wanted to save it for us. He pleaded, each word laced with desperation. For us? Or for you? She shot back, eyes blazing. You didn't even ask me. Suddenly the chatter of the diner seemed to fade, leaving only their conversation filling the void. Other patrons glanced over, their curious eyes probing the rift growing wider. It felt like the whole world was watching, adding fuel to the fire that had kindled between them. Realizing they needed a break from this storm, Sarah turned quickly and slipped into the kitchen, leaving Charlie standing in the diner's glaring light. He felt small inside the expansive space that had once felt like a sanctuary. He wandered to the back, where the clanking of pans and sizzling of food echoed. Sarah was moving swiftly, furiously chopping vegetables, the knife flashing with each slice. It was pretty clear this moment was less about cooking and more about trying to carve out some peace. Look, Charlie, she began, her voice steady yet strained. I appreciate what you did, but it's complicated. I had plans. Dreams. And now it feels like they all got suffocated because of your big gestures. Is that what it feels like to you? Just a grand gesture? He asked, a fissure of hurt creeping into his own voice. Yes. You don't understand what it's like to struggle, to work hard for every dime. You can just throw money at a problem while I can't sleep at night worrying about my family. Charlie's heart sank with each word. The gap between their worlds felt insurmountable, and he had no idea how to bridge it. Desperation clawed at him, he had to show her he understood, that he could be more than just a guardian from riches. Maybe we could make this work together. I can help you, I want to help you, but I also want you to know I see you. Not just as some project. Her brows softened, and for a brief moment, he thought he might get through to her. But just as quickly, the hardness returned. Charlie, it's not just about you seeing me. I need you to respect my dreams, too. I can't just let you define my future. As heavy silence enveloped them, the reality of their situation became painfully evident. The diner stood as a monument to their conflicting paths, one of wealth and ease, the other of struggle and aspiration. I need to think, Sarah finally whispered, turning from him and stepping out into the night. A cool breeze chased her, and the door swung shut behind her with a soft shudder. Charlie was left alone, a fresh wave of regret washing over him. Was this how it was meant to end? After everything they had sparked together? He had thought he was doing something noble. Outside, the moon cast a silver light over the diner, illuminating everything in soft glow. Would Sarah choose to return? And if she didn't, could he swallow the truth that he might have lost the only thing that mattered? Each unanswered question pulsated against his mind like a drum, echoing in the still night. This wasn't just about saving a diner anymore, it was about saving something more precious, something made of dreams and possibilities. Could he find a way to set things right before it was too late? The answer hung in the air, unresolved, promising the chaos of transformation. The moon hung low, casting a pale light on the diner's cracked pavement. Charlie stood by the door, his thoughts swirling with uncertainty. He could feel the chill of the night creeping into his bones, just like the cold reality of the situation he'd created. Sarah was out there, alone, and he was stuck inside this diner, haunted by what he could have done differently. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open and stepped outside. The cool air hit him like a rush. He needed to find Sarah. It wasn't just about the diner anymore, it was about her, about their connection and what it truly meant. He scanned the empty street, hoping to catch a glimpse of her distressed form. He was desperate to explain, to show her that he believed in her dreams. Sarah! He called, the word hanging in the air, the echoes bouncing off nearby buildings. A moment later, he spotted her at the edge of the parking lot, leaning against her old sedan, arms crossed tightly across her chest. The way her silhouette trembled under the stars made his heart ache. Each step he took toward her felt like crossing a chasm filled with regret. He wasn't certain what he could say, but he had to try. What are you doing out here? He asked softly as he reached her side. She looked up, her eyes reflecting the moonlight and a hardness that was all too familiar. Thinking, Sarah replied tersely, her breath visible in the cool night air. About what? He probed gently, trying to breach the walls that surrounded her. She hesitated, her gaze drifting to the diner as if it might offer her answers. About us. About everything. I thought we were building something stable, but now I feel like everything is crashing down. Charlie felt a sting in his chest at her admission. I never wanted you to feel that way. I saw this diner as a lifeline for both of us, not a weight. I know you may have meant well, but you don't understand, she countered, her voice rising slightly. It's not about money or a safety net. It's about respect, about choosing the right path and fighting for it. He stepped closer, wanting to erase the distance between them, but he didn't want to push her further away. Then tell me how I can help, not just as a financier but as someone who cares about you. What do you want for the diner? For your future. Her expression softened for just a heartbeat, making his heart race. I want control, Charlie. I want the chance to run this place my way, not just a way that suits someone with deep pockets. Charlie took her words to heart. Then let us do it together. I'll support your vision, but I also need you to see that I believe in you. It's not about my money, it's about our dreams. He could see the contemplation flicker in her eyes. It wasn't a clear road, but Charlie felt a spark of hope ignite. I'll give you the freedom to run it your way. All I need is a chance to back you up. Do you really mean that? Sarah's voice trembled, both hopeful and fearful. Absolutely. Just tell me what you need. Before she could respond, Charlie reached into his pocket, fumbling for the diner's keys. He pulled them out, offering them to her with a gesture that felt monumental. You take the reins, Sarah. I'm here to support you. Her eyes widened in disbelief, and for a moment, he feared her response would be one of anger. But slowly, as she accepted the keys, a flicker of a smile broke through. You truly let me take charge. It's your dream. Only you can steer it where it needs to go, he said, a warmth spreading through him as the weight of the moment settled, but just as the hopeful moment hung between them, a distant sound broke the silence, a muffled cry from behind the diner, echoing out into the night. Their heads snapped toward the sound, both sensing the urgency in the air. What was that? Sarah's voice was sharp, a stark contrast to the tenderness they had just shared. I don't know. Let us check it out, Charlie said, instinctively moving toward the back of the diner, led by an instinct stronger than caution. As they approached the alley, fear and adrenaline surged through him. Charlie had no idea what lay ahead, but one thing was clear, things were about to get complicated. What if the mystery hiding in the shadows forced them to confront more than just their dreams? Charlie and Sarah stepped cautiously into the alley, the shadows playing tricks on their eyes. The alley was narrow, the smell of old grease mingling with a ghostly chill. Every step felt heavier as the muffled cry echoed again, more urgent this time. Did you hear that? Sarah's eyes darted around, fear glimmering in her expression. Yeah, Charlie replied, his heart racing. Stay close. He led the way, each inch he covered feeling like a leap into the unknown. As they rounded the corner, the moonlight illuminated a small figure huddled against the wall. It was a boy, no more than 10, his face streaked with dirt and tears. Hey, kid! Charlie called out softly, trying to keep his voice steady. Are you okay? The boy looked up, his wide eyes shimmering under the lights. I can't find my mom, he stuttered, his voice trembling. I got lost. Charlie's heart dropped. He glanced at Sarah, who was already kneeling beside the boy, her expression softening. Where did you last see her? She asked gently, brushing a strand of hair from her face, her instincts as a caretaker kicking in. The boy sniffled, his small body shaking. At the park we were playing, and I just ran away. Okay, we'll help you find her, Charlie assured him, feeling an overwhelming need to protect this child. But first, what is your name? Ethan, he said, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "All right, Ethan. We are going to find your mom," Sarah smiled, her warmth radiating into the chilly night. As they stood up together, Charlie felt a shift within himself. This moment, standing side by side with Sarah, had ignited something deep inside him. It wasn't just about the diner anymore, it was about partnership, facing challenges together, having each other's backs. "Let's South get to that park. It's not too far away," Charlie stated, nudging Ethan gently. "What do you say?" The boy nodded, looking a little more hopeful. They started walking, Sarah leading the way, a protective hand resting on Ethan's shoulder. "Do you have any hobbies, Ethan?" she asked, her voice light, trying to put him at ease. "Yeah, I like drawing superheroes," he said, a shy smile creeping onto his face. "I want to be a superhero one day." "That's awesome. What kind of powers do you want?" Charlie chimed in, glad to see the boy starting to relax. "Flying. And invisibility," Ethan exclaimed, suddenly animated. "Good choices," Sarah agreed, exchanging a glance with Charlie that silently communicated their shared concern for this child. As they approached the park, the sounds of laughter and chatter pierced the air, a sharp contrast to the fear they had just faced in the alley. But just as they reached the entrance, Charlie felt a tightening in his chest. "Wait a minute," he said, pausing. "This isn't just about Ethan, is it?" "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with confusion. "This is about our dreams too," he murmured as the realization hit him. "What if we can build something more than just a diner? Something that makes a real difference in people's lives?" She looked at him, eyes reflecting a mix of understanding and something deeper, an unspoken bond forming between them. "Charlie," Sarah began, her voice trembling. But before she could finish her thought, a commotion erupted from the park. A woman was frantically calling out, "Ethan! Ethan!" The boy's face lit up with recognition. He broke free from Sarah's side and ran toward the voice. Charlie watched, a smile of relief spreading across his face. But as he turned back to Sarah, the weight of what was unsaid hung heavy in the air. "Maybe this is just the beginning for us," he said, wanting to bridge the gap that had formed during their earlier discussions. As they watched Ethan reunite with his mother, a sense of hope washed over him, tethering them together in this new chapter. But lurking just beyond the park's edge, a shadowy figure observed them, a secret yet to unfold that could change everything. What could this new threat mean for the future they were just beginning to shape? Ethan was engulfed in his mother's arms, her frantic relief echoed in tears. They stood together, a small world of warmth amid the chilly night. Charlie and Sarah exchanged glances, happiness flooding their hearts as they watched the reunion. But in the back of Charlie's mind, lingering unease nudged at him like a forgotten whisper. He turned away to survey the park's edges, where shadows curled ominously. That same figure lingered, the outline indistinct, blending into the night. "Charlie!" Sarah's voice pulled him back, her brows still creased with worry. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, forcing a smile. "Let's make sure Ethan gets home safely." They approached mother and son, the mother's words spilling out in a rush of gratitude. "Thank you. I was so scared. Where did you find him?" Sarah stepped forward, her heart swelling with shared relief. "He was in the alley, lost and afraid. We just wanted to help." Ethan looked up at Charlie, his small frame visibly relaxing. "They're superheroes, Mom. They're gonna be famous." Charlie crouched down to meet Ethan's eyes, feeling warmth swell in his chest. "You're the real superhero, Ethan. You stayed brave while we found you. Can I have a cape?" Ethan asked with wide-eyed innocence. "Sure. And lots of gadgets too." Charlie laughed, sharing a moment of connection that felt precious and true. As they watched Ethan bounce back to his mother's side, Charlie felt a desire stir within, nurturing hope and compassion. This sense of partnership ignited something in him, pushing past the walls he'd built around his heart. "Thank you again," the mother said, her eyes gleaming with unshed tears. "You guys have no idea how much this means to me." "Just doing what anyone would do," Sarah replied softly, looking at Charlie as if sensing the powerful shift between them. "Still, I owe you," the woman insisted. "Can I take you to dinner? A proper thank you?" Charlie opened his mouth to respond, but before he could find the words, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and saw a message from his boss. Something about the diner needing urgent repairs. I'm sorry, but we can't," he morphed his disappointment into something lighter. "We've got work to do." "Are you sure?" the mother asked, her face falling slightly. "You have no idea how grateful I am. No, we really can't," Sarah reinforced, wrapping her arms around herself protectively, as if somehow mentioning the dinner might unravel this moment of triumph. The mother blinked, accepting their refusal, but a flicker of disappointment laced her expression. As they waved goodbye and turned away, Charlie's phone buzzed again. This time, the urgency in his day-to-day life felt more suffocating. The diner, plans, everything seemed to loom larger than him. "You all right?" Sarah asked, the concern etched into her features like a comforting balm. "You seemed a bit off back there." "It's all starting to feel heavy," he admitted. "And I can't shake this feeling about that figure from earlier." "You're still thinking about that?" "It might just be nothing," he said, choosing to dismiss the dread creeping in. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft voice filtering into the night. "Ethan, let us go home." Charlie turned just in time to see the mother and son walking away. But then he noticed the shadowy figure darting closer. Panic surged through him as instinct kicked in. "Sarah!" he shouted, his heart racing, eyes glued to the figure. "We need to go now." "What?" "Charlie, what do you see?" But he wasn't listening. The figure had turned, nearly hidden behind a tree. The air felt charged, electric with anticipation as they both felt it, a new threat looming just beyond their world. As they hurried along the park path, Charlie couldn't shake off the feeling that their lives were about to change forever. "Do you think we should?" Sarah trailed off, uncertainty bubbling in her voice. "I don't know. But I have this feeling we're just on the edge of something much bigger." Their pace quickened, urgency pelting the atmosphere like raindrops before a storm. Coming face to face with whatever awaited them felt inevitable. Just as they reached the park's exit, Charlie felt a hand grasp his shoulder. "Hey! Wait!" The world around them shifted, and they turned to confront whatever had come to shake up their lives next. Who or what awaited them, and would it change everything they just started to build? Charlie turned slowly, heart pounding against his ribs as he faced the stranger. The moonlight illuminated a face lined with age and regret. It was a man, older, wearing a tattered coat that spoke of long nights and cold days. "Please, I just need a moment," the man said, his voice shaky but urgent. "Do you know him?" Sarah whispered, her eyes widening. "No, I don't." Charlie began, but the man's pleading gaze silenced him. "I'm sorry to interrupt your evening. I saw you with the boy," the man continued, glancing over his shoulder, almost as if he was nervous about who was watching. "I need help, please." Charlie exchanged a look with Sarah, the worry swirling in their shared silence. Everyone in the park was an echo of normal lives, yet this man felt like an intrusion into their serene moment. "What kind of help?" Charlie asked cautiously. "There's something I have to tell you both," the man urged, stepping closer, lowering his voice nearly to a whisper. "It's about the figure you saw. You think it's just a shadow, but it's far more than that." The man's words sent shivers down Charlie's spine. "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to maintain his calm. "Please, let us walk out of here." "It's not safe," the man insisted, his eyes darting around as if someone or something could leap from the darkness at any moment. Charlie felt Sarah's hand slip into his, her grip firm and steady. It provided a momentary tether in a world that suddenly felt unmoored. "What are you talking about?" she demanded, straining to keep her voice steady. The man hesitated, as if to weigh his options. "The figure, it's been watching you. And it's not just an innocent passerby. It's linked to something far more complicated than you know." Charlie's mind raced with questions, but fear clouded his thoughts. He took a step back, instinctively pulling Sarah with him. "Why should we trust you? You just appeared out of nowhere." "Because I'm trying to help you," he pleaded, leaning in closer. "I've made mistakes. Big ones. And now I'm trying to make things right before it's too late." "Make what right?" Charlie pressed, looking into the man's eyes. There was a desperation there, a plea for redemption. "What do you know?" The man sighed heavily, running a hand through his wild, gray hair. "What I know could change everything for you. But if you don't follow me now, it might be the last chance you get." Charlie looked at Sarah, gauging her reaction. She seemed just as apprehensive, but the resolve in her expression ignited something bold within him. "Okay," he said finally, his voice steadying. "But you need to explain everything as we go. And if you try anything I won't hesitate." The man nodded, relief washing over his features. "Thank you. I promise, I'll tell you everything." They started walking, the park darkening around them, as shadows danced under the flickering lights. The streetlights faded in their wake, leaving their small group moving towards the unknown, the night swallowing the flicker of hope that had ignited in their earlier encounter. As they exited the park, Charlie couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something darker, something that threatened to unravel what little sense of peace they'd just found. "Just stay close," he said quietly to Sarah, his heart racing not with fear but with the intensity of the moment. And in that instant, he knew their old lives were fading fast, and they were on the brink of something they might not be able to control. What would the man reveal about the figure, and how would it relate to their lives intertwining so unexpectedly? The man led them down a narrow alley, the walls of brick tall and looming like sentinels watching over their precarious journey. The air was cool with an unusual chill, wrapping around them with an unease that made Charlie's skin prickle. Sarah's fingers intertwined with his, a small gesture, yet it anchored him in a moment swirling with uncertainty. "What do you know about the figure?" Charlie asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might summon the darkness lurking at the alley's end. The man paused, his gaunt face caught in the dim glow of a distant street lamp. "It's tied to something that happened a long time ago. There's a history here that isn't just a story, it's alive. It watches, it waits." "Watches? Waits?" Sarah echoed, her voice trembling slightly. "What do you mean? What happened?" "If you'll let me explain," the man said, falling into step with them, "the figure is not just a shadow. It's a guardian of secrets, of the past that's trying to creep back into your lives. It found you, and it won't let go." Charlie felt his stomach drop. "Why us?" he asked, his voice tight. "What does it want with us?" "I can't tell you everything now," he replied, anxiety shaping his tone. "But I can show you. Come." As they walked further away from the park, the sound of the night seemed to quiet. The distant hum of traffic faded, replaced by a near silence that felt heavy with anticipation. Charlie could hear his own heartbeat thudding in his ears, along with the gentle hum of Sarah's breath beside him. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a small, unmarked door at the end of the alley. The man hesitated before knocking softly. "This place, it's a refuge for those who want to confront their shadows. I hope you're ready for what you might find." "What are you talking about?" Sarah's voice broke into a sharp gasp. Before she could react, the door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room filled with the quiet murmur of voices. Inside, several others turned their heads toward them, their expressions a blend of curiosity and concern, but it wasn't just the strangers that unnerved Charlie. It was the unexpected feeling sinking into his gut, like they were not meant to be here. The man stepped forward, waving a hand as if to guide them inside. "Come on. This is where it begins." A woman at the back of the room stood, crossing her arms, her expression sharpening as she scrutinized the new arrivals. "You brought more," she said, her tone heavy with suspicion. "They need to know," the man replied, gesturing at Charlie and Sarah. "They have to understand before it's too late. The figure they've been chosen." "Chosen?" Charlie repeated, a storm of emotions swirling in his chest. "Chosen for what?" "Chosen to face what they've been running from," she said pointedly, shifting her gaze between them. "Will you be brave enough to confront it?" Charlie's heart thundered against his ribcage. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, threatening to crush him under its intensity. "What if we're not ready?" Sarah squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes wide with uncertainty, yet there was a steadfast determination in her gaze. "You don't get a choice," the woman replied, her voice steady but edged with urgency. "The figure will not stop until you do. It's time to reveal the truth." As they stood on the precipice of this revelation, Charlie felt a ripple of fear and longing twist inside him. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he understood one thing: they had ventured too far to turn back now. Suddenly, a sharp sound pierced through the room, a crash echoing from somewhere deep in the shadows. All heads turned, eyes widening with fear. "What was that?" Sarah breathed, her voice barely audible over the sudden chaos. "Something's coming," the older man whispered, his expression a mix of fear and dread. In that moment, Charlie realized they'd stepped into a fight much larger than themselves. They were about to uncover secrets bigger and darker than they ever imagined. But were they strong enough to face them? And what awaited them beyond the veil of shadows? The tension in the room thickened as everyone held their breath, eyes darting towards the dark corners from which that ominous noise had erupted. Charlie felt a cold sweat trickle down his back. He was overwhelmed by a sense of urgency, a feeling that whatever was coming had a purpose and intention. The woman who had initially questioned their presence nodded towards the door, her stance shifting into a more defensive posture. "Stay close together. Whatever it is, it's here to test us." "What do you mean, test us?" Charlie managed to stammer, glancing at Sarah. She was ghastly pale, her fingers still clutching his, anchoring him in this whirlwind of emotion. The man who had led them here stepped slightly in front of them, his body tense. "Our fears, our pasts, they come rushing back when we least expect it. We must face them together." Charlie felt like he was teetering on the edge of an abyss. "And if we can't?" His voice carried a tremor that was impossible to disguise. "You will," the woman declared firmly, an edge of defiance in her tone. "You'll dive deeper into those shadows until you find the light. It won't feel good, it will hurt. But it's the only way." Another crash reverberated through the room, louder this time, rattling something on a shelf nearby. Nervous murmurings among the gathered patrons intensified as they exchanged anxious glances, all too aware of the rising threat that had interrupted the fragile silence. Sarah's grip on Charlie tightened, and her eyes searched his, her expression a blend of fear and determination. "We can do this, right?" she whispered, though it felt more like a plea than a question. That he nodded, though his stomach churned with uncertainty. "We have to." Before he could gather his thoughts, the shadows shifted and then, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a swirl of darkness and light, as if the very air had taken form. A face was barely discernible, eyes glinting, ancient and knowing, fixating on Charlie and Sarah. "The one who runs cannot hide," it spoke, the voice resonating in a way that felt both haunting and familiar. "You've both been marked, tied to a past you have yet to confront." Charlie's heart raced as a wave of memories washed over him, flickering like old film strips, images of guilt, of choices that had haunted him, things he thought he could outrun. He looked at Sarah, who was visibly shaken, her expression reflecting his own turmoil. "Why us?" he shouted, the question escaping his lips. "What did we ever do?" "Being chosen isn't a punishment," the figure replied, a hint of compassion lacing its voice. "It's an opportunity for healing, for understanding what you fear most. Are you brave enough to step forward?" Charlie's throat tightened. The weight of the moment bore down upon him as he felt the lives he had built and the pain he had buried battling for dominance. Could he really face the darkest corners of his heart? And what about Sarah? Would she join him in this reckoning? With renewed resolve coursing through him, Charlie stepped closer to the figure, dragging Sarah along. "We'll confront it together," he declared, barely believing the steadiness in his own voice. The figure's eyes seemed to brighten, giving a glimmer of encouragement. Then let the truth unfold. Just as they braced themselves for what was to come, the room plunged into darkness, voices merging into a chorus of uncertainty. "Don't look back," the woman warned, her eyes wide. "You must move forward, no matter how hard it feels." Just then, the darkness began to pulse, each heartbeat resonating against the walls, engulfing them in an echo that felt almost alive. Would they be swept away, or would they dare to step into the unknown? As the figure slowly faded into the shadows, Charlie and Sarah clung to each other, their next steps uncertain but necessary, ready to confront everything they had buried before it consumed them completely. But deep in that swirling darkness, something ancient stirred, realizing that these two were not only seeking answers but also holding a power that could change everything. What would they discover about themselves in the depths of that dark journey ahead? The darkness swallowed them whole, a thick veil that pressed against their skin. Charlie felt Sarah's breath hitch beside him, and he tightened his grip on her hand. The pulsing darkness surrounded them like a living thing. Each heartbeat echoed in his ears, reminder that they were alive, that they were still together in this. "Stay close," he whispered, even as his heart raced with what awaited them. In that pitch-black void, it was easy to lose sight of everything familiar. It was all-consuming. Footsteps echoed, a symphony of anxiety rising in the silence. "Where do we go?" Sarah's voice trembled, her question hanging in the void before him. "Forward," he said, trying to channel his own fear into determination, but self-doubt crept in. What if stepping forward meant facing things he wasn't ready to confront? The past was a beast he'd rather not face. Yet, he could feel the weight of Sarah's hand in his, a lifeline in a storm. That a sudden gust of wind rushed past them, and the darkness twisted, transforming into swirling shapes. They flickered in and out like memories half remembered. Voices whispered around them, haunting and familiar. Fragments of conversations spilled out, rising like smoke to his mind. Charlie caught snatches of laughter, echoes of hurt, moments of regret. "Charlie!" Sarah's voice pulled him back. He turned, and the dim light shifted just enough for him to see her face, illuminated with a ghostly glow. Her expression was one of determination mixed with fear. "Whatever we see, we face it. Together." He nodded, a small flicker of hope ignited in the pit of his stomach. Together. The word felt powerful, solid in the vast emptiness surrounding them. Suddenly, a flash of light erupted ahead, and they both flinched, shielding their eyes. It illuminated a scene, a memory he thought he had buried deep within. There, standing in the dim glow, was a younger version of himself, slouched with regret in a small room that looked suspiciously like the old apartment he had once lived in. It felt ancient yet achingly familiar. "Why did I let it go?" The younger Charlie whispered to himself, pain etched on his face. Charlie's heart sank. What was happening? Was this some sort of punishment? "Charlie." Sarah's voice broke through to him like a lifeline. "Where are you?" She stepped toward the light, but Charlie pulled her back. "No. We can't. I can't face this." The younger Charlie crumpled like paper, dark thoughts surrounding him like a storm. "I lost everything. Stop." Charlie threw his hand up, but the memory surged forward, wrapping him in a cold embrace. It gripped him with an iron fist, dragging him back to moments he'd long forgotten but had never truly escaped. "Face it." The voice of the figure from the shadows echoed in his mind, cutting through his panic. "You cannot heal without confronting what has hurt you." "But what if I can't?" Charlie shouted, the walls of the memory closing in. Tears threatened to spill as the weight of guilt began to crush him. Memories of mistakes, lost connections, and opportunities missed rained down on him like heavy stones. "Remember. Sarah urged, pushing into the light with him. We're not alone. You can break free. With her warmth at his side, he felt something stir within him, a flame of resilience fighting against the chill. Could it be that simple? He had kept everything locked away, but now it felt almost necessary to let it all out. As the light flickered, he took a deep breath, fighting tears. I'm ready to face it, he declared, voice trembling yet firm. I'll own my past. With a sudden surge of strength, Charlie stepped forward into the scene, feeling Sarah beside him, their hands still linked. The shadows swirled around them, but this time, he faced them head-on, grounded by the truth that healing meant bearing the weight of his journey, no matter how heavy. But as they plunged deeper into the heart of his past, another chilling realization struck him. There was more to uncover, something darker that they had yet to encounter. What awaited them was a revelation that could shatter their understanding of love, loss, and the power of forgiveness. Would they dare to dive deeper and discover what lay beneath the surface? The echo of laughter filled Charlie's ears, a sound once joyous now tainted with memories he'd buried. With Sarah beside him, they stepped into the light of his past, ready to confront what had long haunted him. The flickering glow illuminated an age-old apartment, crammed with the debris of lost dreams and a faded sense of self. Charlie. Sarah's voice tightened with concern, barely above a whisper, but it grounded him, urging him forward. The younger version of himself stood slumped in the dimness, an image of defeat. Seeing himself like this hit him like a punch to the gut, the regret practically dripped from the walls. Why didn't I fight harder? His younger self mourned, a shadow of self-pity swirling in the air around him. Charlie felt the weight of those words wrap around his chest. He had once let go of everything he cared for, thinking it was easier to flee than face the storm. But now, hand in hand with Sarah, he was learning that running didn't mean he wouldn't still be pursued by ghosts of his choices. It's okay to feel this. Sarah encouraged, as if reaching through the veil of time. You're not defined by your past. You can change. Charlie closed his eyes for a moment. With a courageous inhale, he stepped forward, nearly losing himself in the sea of emotion. The walls trembled with each muffled plea of the past. I'm sorry, he called, words spilling from him like sand escaping an hourglass. I'm so sorry for giving up. I'm ready to own my mistakes. As he stepped into the image of his younger self, he felt a crackling energy pulse in the air. The former Charlie blinked, visible surprise on his face as the room quaked slightly. What do you want? The younger version snapped, bitterness coloring his tone. I'm here to show you that it's not too late. Charlie announced, voice strengthened by desperation. We can do better. We can choose to put love first. Sarah's hand tightened around his as warmth squeezed into Charlie's heart. Outside of this memory, he had buried so much emotion, but now he felt emotions flooding back, a wave vibrating inside him, pushing against the heaviness of regret. You don't have to suffer alone, she added, her voice steady and clear, filled with empathy and strength. Forgiveness isn't just for others, it's for you, too. The younger Charlie trembled, confusion etching its way across his face. How can I forgive when I've failed so badly? I lost everything. No, Charlie countered, stepping closer. You didn't lose everything. You still have a chance to reshape your story. I've met someone who shows me what love is, someone worth fighting for. With every shaky breath, Charlie felt the ghosts of his past loosen their grip. The colors in the room brightened, and shadows that once felt like chains began to dissolve. Sarah deserves the best version of me, and so do I. I refuse to let fear decide my fate anymore. The gentle glow wrapped around him as younger Charlie's eyes shifted, piercing through the haze of despair. So, you're saying we can keep going? That's a choice worth making. Yes. Charlie exclaimed. We are more than our darkest moments. There's still time to build a life filled with love and hope. As those words echoed through the air, the memories began to shimmer and fade, revealing a new, bright path stretching out behind them. The darkness hung back, waiting, but so did excited flickers of opportunity. Charlie turned, glancing at Sarah, who radiated strength, the light that pushed him to keep choosing. Just when he thought they might break through, the shadows returned, threatening to pull him back. "Let us not stop now," Sarah encouraged, her voice filled with conviction. Together, they pressed forward, shattering the barriers of doubt and hurt intertwined in their hearts. They were no longer defined by the past, they had transformed their pain into purpose. Outside, the reality of the diner loomed, but Charlie felt a shift within himself. He was ready. Ready to help Sarah bring her vision to life, to make Gracie's a beacon of hope for their community. The diner's future and their futures. Intertwined like vines climbing a wall. As they emerged from the memory, the shadows receded, and the once ominous figure stepped back into the light, having guided them through this journey. "You faced your fears. Now, you can create a life that matters," it spoke, its voice now warmer and filled with understanding. With newfound courage ringing in his heart, Charlie turned to Sarah. "We can do whatever it takes, not just for us, but for our dreams, our community. Are you ready?" "Yes," she smiled, tears brimming but radiating a joy that lit them both up. As they clasped each other's hands tightly, they stepped out. The diner stood before them, inviting yet full of potential. "Together, let us turn Gracie's into something magnificent." As they strode through the doors, a vibrant energy surged between them. This was more than just a place, it was a home for growth, love, and community. Charlie's heart swelled with happiness as he envisioned not just the diner blooming but their lives entwining in a beautiful journey filled with purpose, and so began a new chapter not just for them, but for everyone they touched along the way. Let this be your call to action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm for more heartwarming tales. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending because your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.